All right, then. How's everybody feeling today?
Good, thank you.
Good, good, good. Well, welcome to our viewers to this week of Nirodha. We're going to still be in our Healthy Mind series. Today, we are talking about purpose. And purpose is defined as something that is created or something that is developed, something that exists to give one a reason for doing something, right? And so, for me, purpose at one point in time, it took me a long time to find my purpose. It did. It took me a very long time to find my purpose and what I really was here to do. But once I found my purpose, it began to um, create a space that for me was more peaceful and having a reason to be, right? And a reason to exist. Right? And so finding one's purpose is very important. A lot of times we think our purpose is to for someone else. Right? I know that I was searching a long time for my purpose because I had been taught that my purpose was to serve others, right? Or to create something that per se existed for others. What I found out is that my purpose done that and it does that, but it was first for me. And so my purpose is to model a role of being bold, of being fit, and of being free. And I happen to use tools such as, well, mindfulness tools such as meditation, breath work, and positive affirmations and yoga. Right? And those are the things that I had to use in order to find my true purpose. And at one point in life, I had some of them, but not all of them, right? And I struggled mostly to include the yoga component into my purpose. And that was mostly due to a cultural um, upbringing, right? And having to understand that culturally, I had been taught against yoga. Right? And so I denied it for years. And when I say years, I mean 14 years. I had a mentor. I still have that same mentor, but from 2005 until 2019, when I finally said, okay, I'll try this yoga thing. I basically resisted yoga because growing up, I was taught that, you know, I shouldn't be doing that and I shouldn't be looking inside because really that's what yoga teaches you, to yoke inwardly and to become familiar with who you really are at the core. But here today in 2025, I will stand and say that yoga was the missing part that I needed to my purpose. Right? And so I had breath work, I was meditating and positive affirmations. But in order to get the healthy mind that I am in and existing in today, I truly believe that yoga and implementing that into my life is what helped me to really come full circle to what my purpose really is. And so that's how I say that my purpose now is to model a role of being bold, being fit, and being free. And with that, I'm able to empower and equip others also to be bold, to be free, and to be fit. Right? So knowing your purpose in life is very, it's one of the four pillars of having a healthy mind, right? And if you have been watching, Dr. Tran has been talking about the other three pillars of having a healthy mind. And so this week, we're on that fourth pillar of purpose, right? And if you're watching, maybe take a few moments and think inside, what is your purpose? purpose, to create something, to develop something, such as a goal or a life management plan or a reason to exist. To be honest, I talk to clients often, and there's no age limit. We like to put an age limit on, well, you're this age, you should know your purpose. But honestly, there's a lot of people that are even over 40 years old and they don't know their purpose. And I didn't really begin to know my purpose and really think of it and search for it until I was in my 40s. Yeah.
They did a research and they found that only 25% know their purpose. Only 25%. And some people still don't know what into their old age.
Yeah.
That's a small percentage. I was surprised by that finding of the research.
That's a very small percentage, considering that this world has trillions of people, and sometimes we think of the people in the world and the number considering where we live at in our demographic, and we kind of think that's the world. But if you have ever traveled, and I am a world traveler, I've seen people living 200 miles east and 300 miles west in the Sahara Desert, in the mountains, you know what I'm saying? And so I have witnessed that there's so many people that are living in spaces that we have no idea that these people are even there, right? And so that is 25% of the world's population know their purpose. So that means 75% of us are just living. And I think a lot of it has to do with culturally how we're raised. Like, we've been taught to give to others first, which now that I'm in a healthy state of mind, I understand that that's why we're only giving half of love or no love, because if we don't know our purpose ourselves and we don't love ourselves, what we're giving out is not fully what we think it is. And so I know culturally, I was taught that your gifts and your talent, your purpose, your service is for other people. And you're trying to live most of your life to do what other people would like you to do, right? And I had to come to a realization and kind of indoctrinate myself, if that's a word, to that teaching of, no, my purpose, my service, my talents, my gifts are not for others first. They're for me first. And for me to create a healthy state of mind for me. And then I can truly give my talents and offer what I have to others in a peaceful, in an integrative, in an empowering, in an inspiring way, and not in an egotistical way. Right? Because when we're trying to give others things that we don't really have inside, it's very egotistical, because we're just doing things to just do them. And a lot of us are really still living the purpose of whatever our parents wanted us to do, or our caregivers, or those that are kind of in authoritarian positions in our lives, right? I remember once in my life, I was trying to live up to my parents, and then it went from them to my pastor, and then it went from my kids, and then maybe it went to my partner, and when I reached 40, I promised myself that I wanted to live a whole life that was not just through the experiences of other people. And I kind of took on the F everybody else's thoughts and desires. I have to find out what Tiffany needs, and I did. I had to take that position because I was so engulfed in being and doing what everybody else wanted me to do, and the only way that I could begin to take off those garments and really do it was kind of aggressively, right? So that's why I use that term inside, like, F what everybody else thinks, Tiffany. It's time for you to find who you are. And if they don't agree with it, that'll be okay. But as long as you know who you are, that is that sense of peace that surpasses understanding when you have a connection with yourself and you are okay with that connection and no longer trying to please others. So, again, finding your purpose is very important. And again, it's one of the four pillars to having a healthy state of mind. Cool. Anybody want to say anything? Any comments? Any thoughts about that?
I think ultimately the common theme of everyone's purpose is to serve ultimately, but we have to build it up within ourselves first, like you said, because we cannot give what we don't have. So we have to build up that sense of purpose, serving ourselves, so we know how to serve others too. There's some people who go out of the way to serve other people, but then pay attention to themselves, and then they become stressed, angry. They serve, but they serve with anger, and frustration. So they have to have peace in here before they go out there.
I think I heard what you say. I have a different about purpose. For me as a Christian, it's understanding my relationship with God first.
Okay.
And I think you were getting at that earlier in your life. But the challenge is needy people can wear you out. Right? So you have to be able to recharge your batteries. And for me, I do that through brothers that don't have that that balance. I can see where it can be really difficult. But I don't know. I don't know that putting yourself first is an answer to anything.
Well, not like in a selfish purpose, selfish sense. Putting yourself first, I think what Tiffany means here is that you have to.
I can tell them what I mean.
Yeah, I think
I mean
I
that
understand what you mean, right?
if you don't know yourself, you're not properly serving anybody.
Right.
And as a Christian or a former Christian, I once believed that too. But it caused me to be mentally ill because all I'm doing is trying to do what other people want me to do, and I don't know myself.
Yeah.
Now, please don't misunderstand when I say that I'm not a Christian, a title. I definitely believe in a creator. I definitely understand that I would never have found myself without the help of the creator. But I don't believe in any organized religions because, in my experience, they come to separate. They don't, like in Christianity, if you don't believe what we don't believe, you're not getting in. But I've been across the world to know that some of these people are never going to hear this story. It's just not their story, right? But that doesn't mean that they don't connect with the creator, right? And so when I'm talking about putting yourself first, not before the creator, not, but before you go out here and try to service a needy person. Because if you do not know who you are, then you're just going to let that needy person exhaust you because you think that's what you're supposed to do. Even when you're a Christian and you're serving, if you don't know who you are, then you're going to be doing everything the pastor, the lay people, the nurses, everything somebody else wants you to do, but inside. And this is from a real experience. This is nothing that somebody told me. This is my life experience. But then when I'm in these mental health crises, none of them can get me out of it, right? And the creator had to show me, learn your purpose and who you are to serve and when you are to say, this is not my service spot, right? So what I think though for Hal is, Hal's probably never experienced, and if I'm wrong, you can correct me, being in an unhealthy mind state such as anxiety or depression or bipolar, right? And so if you've ever been there, then you know what it feels like to be in an unhealthy, and I'm not saying just having an anxious thought about something. I'm saying where your life is tormented and every thought is an anxiety, every thought is a unbalance in the depression, right? And when I looked at that, a lot of it was because I didn't know my purpose. I was trying to serve, right? Because I've been in church since I was probably 5 or 6. I didn't leave until I was 42, right? And so I was trying to serve, but I was serving egotistically. I was serving with a grudge. I was serving out of obligation. Now, when I serve, like, I don't have to come here, right? I have something huge to do, but I made it my business to come here because I like to serve. And now it's not an obligation, right? Because before I would have said, I gotta go, I can't do this. I woke up and could have said, "You know what, Dr. Tran, I'm sorry. I thought I was going to be able to do it today, but I'm not," and wouldn't have felt one thing. Before, I would have felt guilty and would have made myself come, even if it would have interfered with what I have to do today. And so, again, not saying that I put myself before God. I don't. But I do put myself before other people. I do. I do. And I found that that's the way that Tiffany has to stay in a complete, healthy mind state without going into deep depression or constantly being anxious. Right? And so now I can compare and contrast an unhealthy mind with a healthy mind. And I like the healthy mind better.
Yeah, to answer your question, I
Yeah.
can't say that I've ever experienced severe depression or bipolar disorder.
Because me and you have talked about that before when nobody's here and we're getting ready. And so that's why I was kind of safe to say that, because I was like, I believe me and Hal had a conversation about mental states of mind.
But that's not to say that life doesn't have challenges.
No. Life does have challenges. Life challenges and having an unhealthy mind is two different things. And I think you explained to me before, like, Tiffany, I've had some life challenges, but I've never had to deal with those chemicals. Because really what it is chemical imbalance in the mind.
I've always had an optimistic look on life.
Mm-hmm.
But I also appreciate what you said about cherishing your own health first, because I think I think God would want us to do that. And clearly, in order to be able to provide service to others, you have to be in a good state.
You have to
So
be.
I totally agree with that.
You have to be. Because I know that we've all experienced people that are doing stuff out of obligation. They're not the nicest. They're not, because they're not really doing it out of their heart. They're doing it because they feel like they have to, or this is what they've been taught, or this makes them a better person. When in actuality, it doesn't. If you're hurting other people and you're being mean and your body language is snappy, because people can read that too, then you're not really helping, you're harming. Yeah.
I was listening to a talk, and this speaker made it very simple. And he said, the purpose is already there before we are created. So he gave an example of a chair being created. So the person, or the creator of the chair, knew what the purpose of that chair is going to be. That is for someone to sit
down.
on.
Yes.
But if someone doesn't know the purpose of that chair and try to make it into a different purpose, like try to lie down on it,
it won't work.
It won't work.
It won't work.
Yeah. So he made it. He said, "Oh, everybody was born with the purpose already, because the Creator created us, had given us that purpose." And that's why not everybody is the same, and everybody is doing different things, because God has different purpose for different people. It is up to us to find, to realize that true purpose, because if we assume a different purpose, it won't fit.
It won't fit. And that's when we create or we develop unhealthy mind states, right? And so I could connect that even to being a Christian, right? You're right. And that whoever wrote that article for me is very right, because who I am today, that's who I was when I was younger, before life's trauma started coming in, or before influences in my life started saying, Tiffany, quit doing that. Or maybe making the other children who didn't do this, well, you should go in there and be like Tiffany. And I would hear that stuff. And to me, it was really like, something's not really right with you. You know what I'm saying? Like one set, they say, don't do that. And then when they want to control the kids, they tell them to go in the room and act like you. And so um, this purpose, who I am right now, I always tell people I'm back to my original self before the world's things started being imprinted into me, before it was just me and the creator, right? But then when little things inched in, I let that influence me. So now I do believe that I always had this purpose in me. It was always, yoga was always a part of me. When they were asking kids to go in the room, they didn't understand, but I was in there meditating. I didn't even understand what it was doing, but I was in there. What I now know, because I'm like, oh, this is how you used to feel when you were younger. This is what you were doing when you were in that room and you were just gazing off or whatever. You were meditating, you know, you were saying, and even this, how I heard you say you've always had an optimistic. I did, even when that's how I could kind of bring myself out, because I would be like, this is not your thought, Tiffany. You know, this is not how you think about life.
Come across as a very optimistic person.
Yeah. And so I was always optimistic, but I didn't have a healthy mind. Right. And I always did. Like I said, my purpose now that I'm back, I'm like, this is who I was as a kid. This is who I was always created to be. And I was fighting it for years, even the yoga part. Right. And I just told myself, like, oh, that's why when they said you would dance and stuff all the time, because it's very much like yoga to me. Right? So when I was in church, I was a praise and worshiper, right? And I would praise dance and worship, whatever. But now that I do yoga, I'm like, this is really the same thing that I was doing in church. And when I was a kid, everybody had to come over and we got to make up dance steps and stuff. But that was my way of moving stagnant energy through my body, because that's really what yoga is doing for us. It's moving the stuck energy from suppression or life's things through your body so that it can't get stuck. Right? And so I agree with that article that we already have the purpose, but the word tells us that you have to seek and find. You have to knock, and the door will be open, right? And so I had to seek and I had to find and I had to knock, meaning that I had to pray and meditate, right? And so we pray and then we meditate to listen, to hear that small, still voice that doesn't speak over confusion. And it's not really loud. It's just going to be like, Trent, Trent, Trent. It is. So, how? It's not going to really be like, how? You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes, right? And that's only when you're really not listening or it has to get your attention for real of danger. But usually it's so quiet and subtle and so peaceful. And you're like, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
everything responds to nurture. Like I said to how animals and humans, we all respond to nurturing.
Yep.
Shouting doesn't get anywhere, but he shouts to the dogs a lot.
and they probably scurry in that moment, but then they come right back like, mm-hmm. And it's funny that you say that, because I spent years trying to do the same thing that was done to me to my children. Okay. But I noticed, like you said, when they got able to, you don't got to do all that hollering, mama, because that's not going to help me. It really shuts my brain down. You know, and then I started thinking about me, like, yep, because when my parents get to hollering and stuff, I was raised that you don't talk back to them, but in my mind, I have to shut down because I can't process that. And I may be looking at you, but in my mind, I'm like, I don't know anything that they're saying. It's just like, yeah, 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 yeah. And now my students tell me that. Like, you know, or my therapy clients are like, well, when my mom gets to yelling and everything, I can't process it. So I just shut down and she thinks I'm being disrespectful, but I can't, because like you said,
it's funny how
animals
can sometimes understand
all the time.
Well, sometimes,
yeah, they got that censor.
Yeah,
we watch them.
We have 2 cute little doggies at home.
Okay.
And we adopted them not too many months ago, but they get lonely. And when it's bedtime and they're in their cage, it's yip, 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 all night long. All night long.
Yep.
It's like, please be quiet. We
Mhm.
need to sleep. Anyhow, so that's what she's talking about.
Yeah, and if you
And
let
so-
them out, then they kind of
Well, so yeah, that's what
they
I
kind of be
ended up-
quiet, like,
that's
okay,
what
now
I
I'm just
ended up
close to
doing
your
last
feet.
night. It's
Yeah.
Let them out of their cage and let them kind of just like hang out in the kitchen. And that quieted them down. So that was good. But,
That's
yeah.
their little talking. See, they got messages away. They can't really talk, but that's their
In other words, they're
talking.
training.
They are good. You said that. How now they are. They're training you to understand their language, right? And if you watch animals, like when they talk about tsunamis or when they talk about danger or whatever, if you pay attention to the animals, they're getting out of there. They're getting out of there, even if it's a bad storm or whatever. If you really pay attention, they're like, if you follow me, you might be the safety. If you don't know what's going on with the animals, you're just going to be like, what are they doing? You know? And then they even talked about when we had that big tsunami, if they would have followed the elephants and stuff that were going up higher, a lot of people would have been safe, but they weren't paying attention to the, because we have been taught, seriously, not to really pay attention to nature a lot. Yeah. Not that we're not kind of a part of nature, but we are. And the more we stay connected to nature, the more balance we can get. Yeah. There's even research there that talks about grounding, and I use it with my clients. And these are teenagers, most of them. And they're like, oh, Miss King, I went outside and I did what you said do. And we watched that movie of grounding. I walked barefooted and I did feel better. And I did feel. And my son used to do it all the time. And in my ignorance, I used to be like, put some shoes on. And then found out that, oh, and then I asked him, he was like, that's exactly what it feels like when I walk around barefoot. I'm getting energy that I need and I'm being energized, right? And that's coming from the earth. You know, so that connection that we have from nature. And I like what you said, though, Dr. Turner, because the Creator did make sure that we had everything before He created us. Everything that we needed, everything that we needed. And we were created last to ensure that your purpose, your plan, what you need, the food, the land, I'm going to create lightness and everything that you're going to need. And then I'm going to create you last and put you there and breathe life into you. Everything that we need, and including our purpose, is already there. We just have to dig deep for it. Yeah. And because we don't train children at a young age to really know their own purpose, it's a little harder because we live life. And then who really wants to change the whole trajectory or the scope of their life at 40? And you've lived 40 years like that. I mean, really? You know what I'm saying? I had to be bold, seriously. And it was scary. I don't lie to people and say, no. Now I can be like, oh, that was the easiest choice I ever made because I'm so healthy and so bright. But in that moment, I was like, now, how are you going to stop doing this? You've been doing it for 40 years. You think this is it, even though it wasn't working. Now, that's the ironic part, that a lot of these pieces are not working in our lives, but we would keep them rather than to reinvent. And so now I learned that about every 7 to 10 years, right? Because 7's a full cycle, I'm going to be changing. And I'm no longer set in who I used to be, or I'm about every 7 years or so, I'm going to be shedding some skin, to get bigger, just like snakes do. They shed that skin to get bigger, right? Or to evolve or elevate, whatever we want to call it, but not to get stuck in, well, this is how I've always been doing things, and this is how I've always been. Understanding that I'm continually evolving until the purpose and the service here is done, and then I get to go on to my next life in glory. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I think we should take some time for the next 20 or so minutes. It's about 10:40, and actually do a guided meditation on purpose. Right? What do you guys think about that? Where we're just going to really sit, and even if you know your purpose, I also believe this, that it's always more to it, right? Because again, you're evolving, right? And you're not going to just stay at that space. So just really giving some time on this guided meditation of making the intention today of this, of what is my purpose? You know what I'm saying? What's next for me? And never getting settled in, this is it. This is all. Because I do know that there's more to me to add to the yoga and the meditation and the personal affirmations, right? So always asking, what's next? What's my purpose? Cool. So I'm going to get some nice music on, right? And the music we're going to listen to is called Satanama. And it basically represents birth, life, death, and rebirth. Okay? And they say that if you say this mantra 30 days consistently, that it brings you closer to the creator and closer to your purpose, right? And I have done it for 30 days or more. And I would say that it has helped me to be more clear and to stay more focused and open to my purpose and what's next in my purpose. Okay. All right. So let me make sure this is on.
Battery 80%. Connected to Tiffany's iPhone 2.
Okay. Right. All right. So the invitation is going to begin to bring yourself into a comfortable centering position. And that comfortable centering position is going to be different for all of us. So maybe take a few moments and just begin to move around and find that comfortable centering position that feels good to you and your body. Once you come to that comfortable centering position, the invitation is to begin to close your eyes. If closing your eyes is comfortable. If closing your eyes is not comfortable, then maybe you can find a focal point that's right in front of you, where you can begin to gaze or to still the eye. Whenever we close our eyes or we gaze or still our eyes, we begin to allow the brain time to shut down from its activities and the outside distractions begin to lessen. The invitation is to begin to deepen your breath. And one way that we deepen our breath in yoga is by taking deep inhales to a count of 4 and filling our abdomens and our chest and our lungs with air and taking lengthened exhales out, contracting our bellies back towards our spine and letting the dry, stale, no longer needed energy come out from the chest, the lungs, and the belly. You're inhaling and exhaling. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. The invitation is to set our intention for our practice today. Our intention today is to connect inwardly and ask and listen. What is my purpose? Where is my next? What is my purpose? And any thoughts that come, just allow the thought and the feeling. Resist your inner temptation to judge, criticize, to label, or even to stop the thought. Just allow the thought, the feeling that tends to come with or right after the thought. And then return to your breathing. Inhaling and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Now the body is soft. Begin to scan the body internally. And notice if you're holding any spaces tight or with tension. And if you are, begin to soften those areas of the body and speak kind, gentle words and ask the body to soften. For example, the jaws and the cheeks. Notice if you're holding them tight. The teeth may be grinding or rubbing, and create a small space between the lips. Allow the jaw and the cheek to hang, the teeth to separate. Your neck and your shoulders. Unawarely, even when we're resting, we tend to hold our shoulders high and shrugged up towards our ears. So just bring the shoulders down and away from the ears. And allow the arms to begin to become heavy like noodles. The back is soft and free of any tension in any tight spaces. The hips and the pelvic, the glutes, they're soft and free of any tension and any tight spaces. The thighs and the hamstrings, calves, the shins, the ankles, feet. Your entire body is soft and free of any tension and any tight spaces. Any thoughts that come, imagine the thought is a leaf that has fallen from a tree. And as the wind blows, the leaf eventually grows and moves out of sight. As it goes out of your sight, that's the thought. Just let it roll away with the wind, without judgment, without criticism, without trying to stop the thought. Just allow. What is my purpose? As you inhale, I want you to bring the energy and the attention and the air in the body all the way down to that root chakra, the space in which you sit, your tailbone. And exhale and let go. Inhale, directing the energy and the breath to the tailbone. And exhale and let go. And as you continue to breathe in deeply and direct that air and breath down to the tailbone, I want you to imagine a red beam of light, and it's shining there on and in the tailbone. The tailbone represents safety and security, support and love and belonging. You're safe in your purpose. You're secure. You're loved and you belong when you're in purpose. And each time you breathe in, that red light is growing and it's expanding throughout the entire body, distributing safety, security, support, love, and the sense of belonging. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. What is your purpose? That's the intention. As we move up the body, you're going to bring your focus and your breath right above your genital area, but below your navel. In that area that we call our sacral chakra. And that space holds the creativity and your positive self-expression, your sensuality and sexuality, and wellness and balance in your thoughts and emotions. And I want you to envision a color orange. Orange like the sunrise or the sunset across the horizon. That beautiful color orange. And each time you inhale, that orange light grows, distributing creativity, positive self-expression, wellness and balance in your thoughts and within your emotions. You're breathing. You're inhaling and exhaling. Inhale and exhale. Inhale. What is my purpose? You're creative. You positively express yourself. You're well and balanced when you're in your purpose. Stay connected to the breathing. Inhaling and exhaling. And some of us may be experiencing a tingling sensation within the body. We may be experiencing a fiery sensation. That's your breath. Stay connected. Inhaling and exhaling. There's always outside distractions. The objective is to stay inside and stay connected to your purpose and your breath And bring that breath and energy up in the body, and you're going to bring it to the belly. In the center of our bodies, the solar plexus. And it holds our confidence and our boldness, willpower, belief in ourselves. The color there is yellow. Begin to envision a bright color yellow. Yellow like the rays of the sun. I want you to see if you can imagine that the sun is shining down on your belly, warming up and igniting your inner confidence and your boldness, your personal strength to believe in yourself, that you can create and live the lives of your desire. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. You're safe, secure, supported, loved, and you belong. Bring that energy and breath up to your heart. The heart chakra in the center of the chest. It represents unconditional forgiveness, unconditional love, and total acceptance of all parts that make you who you are. The color is green. Green like the most exotic rainforest with all the exotic plants and animals, floristry that your heart can imagine. Green. And see that green beam of light as it shines right there in your heart. Offer your heart unconditional forgiveness. Offer your heart unconditional love. And offer your heart total acceptance of all parts of who you are. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Now that energizing and cleansing feeling that you may be experiencing in your body, remember, that's your breath. That's your conscious, controlled breathing. Bring that energy up to your throat chakra. In the center of the body, at the base of the neck, in that small dip, is the throat chakra. Our auditory communicator, our true and authentic voice. See the color blue. Blue like the waves of the ocean. They're calm, yet they're commanding. And when you speak, your words communicate empowerment. They inspire, uplift, and encourage. What is my purpose? Inhale and exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, there you go. And exhale. Let your breath that's causing you to feel calm and centered, clear and connected. And bring that energy up to the center of your forehead, right between the brows, and see a color purple or indigo. Your third eye chakra, and that represents your inner wisdom and knowledge. Your ability to be able to self-guide and to self-regulate, to consciously discipline yourself and your purpose, to make healthy life choices. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Now that energy that you have produced in the body through your conscious, controlled breathing, it's moving up the spine, activating each chakra as it climbs all the way up to the crown of your head. And that crown chakra right at the tip of the head, that's your universal connection to the heavens above. See that clear bulb or halo that's around your head. That's your connection to the heavens and the spirit above. Your clear, conscious awareness. And ask the question, what is my purpose? Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Any thoughts that come, allow the thought. Resist your inner temptation. Judge, criticize, to label, or to stop the thought. Just allow the thought. And then come back to your breathing and the intention for today. What is my purpose? You are awake and you are aware. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. On your next exhale, begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. making small circular motions with your wrists and your ankles, slowly beginning to wake up the body. Maybe take the arms out to the side and reach them above the head. Get a long stretch upwardly. Exhale, bring them down. 2 more times, just like that. Inhale, take the arms up. And exhale down. Inhale, lift your eyes. And this time, palms come together and just bring them down together in prayer hands. Bring them to the heart as we ask with intention one last time, what is my purpose? And then maybe blink a few times before you just open the eyes and bring yourself back into the space in which we're holding. Maybe take a few minutes and moments and just think about and feel the synergy that's moving through your body. Maybe if you can identify that energy and where in the body is that energy coming from. Connecting the mind, the body, and the breath. Yoga is yoking inwardly and becoming familiar who you really are. And because this is a safe space, if anybody would like to share their meditation thoughts or anything they may have gained in their meditation, maybe they have a little bit more understanding or more to their purpose or their next. Take that time to share with one another how we're feeling and what we're feeling.
Well, I'm just thankful for the people in my life.
Cool.
And I love your songs.
Oh,
I don't know if they can see it on camera, but all the little...
Cool. Yeah, they're called junk socks.
Yeah,
yeah, thank you.
So what do they mean?
They're just little emblems and stuff. Like this is like a perfume bottle and like little jewelry. They're called junk socks. Just something cool and unique, and you just take things you like and you can put them on your socks.
And I just want to compliment you on your voice and guided meditation. It's very soothing.
Cool. Cool. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So peaceful. So
Cool.
peaceful.
Cool. And that's part of my healthy mind. Because believe it or not, seriously, my voice used to be very aggressive.
Can't believe it.
Cool. I'm glad you don't, because I don't want you to, right? But it used to be very aggressive, and in no way that I thought that I could do this. Seriously. And it took me 6 months of teaching yoga and speaking into a microphone in the gym before one day I heard my own voice. And no stuff. I was so shocked that seriously in myself, I was like, that's you? I would listen to you too. Yeah, because I had never really heard that voice. And that's kind of the switch that came on, like, Tiffany, you're not in an unhealthy state of mind anymore, because even your voice has changed to follow the state of mind, the calmness that I'm in. Yeah. Thank you. Cool, cool, cool. How you feel?
I feel good.
Cool.
I feel very, very, very relaxed. So practicing meditation really helps me to reflect upon myself. We're talking about the healthy mind, and so we have to examine our thoughts often. And I tried to do that recently because that's been the theme for this year for me. So, I become more and more aware of my thoughts. And we talk about the things that, it's human nature, right? greed, anger, all of those negative emotions, the ignorance. And I have to do it on a daily basis because I think we all still have those thoughts surfacing all the time. And what are you going to do with them? Your wants reflects the greed, right? And your frustration reflects anger.
You're not a greedy person.
And well, how do you know? Like, one time I had a conversation with my mom, and my mom was saying, somebody is not practicing correctly. I said, how do you know that person is not practicing correctly? You don't know every thought that are arising in that person's mind and every action that person carries out during the day. How can you criticize? See, you can't really criticize anybody, judge anybody, and all you can do is knowing yourself.
I think that is really the goal of the Creator for all of us, and even scripturally, is to know thyself. That's the thing. And you don't know yourself if you don't daily renew your mind, right? If you don't reflect daily on your actions, right? But in this world, we have been taught that pointing out other people's imperfections helps us to know ourselves, which is totally against the Creator's teaching, because the objective is for you to know yourself. And the more that you know yourself, the better you can deal with others, right? And I like what you said, like, how's your husband? And he sees your behavior. So he's saying, you're not greedy, right? But I do hear you saying that you don't know my inner thoughts, how, and how I work on not being greedy. Because sometimes in our culture, the things that they teach us young is to accumulate. And that's going to make you happy. And to be this, a doctor or a lawyer and all the things that you get, right? But what I hear from you is you're saying, I'm working on, that's not my happiness. And I can have a greedy spirit if I don't check myself. Just like I said, I could have an aggressive voice, right? And so it's ironic you said that, because this morning I was trying to get up earlier to do meditation, right? And the reason why is because I had started feeling heavy. And whenever I start feeling heavy now, the first thing I ask myself is, what's going on? And my mind kind of says, you're not practicing. You're putting everything else, rushing out the house, right? And so today I was like, I can get up early, but then the voice inside was like, no, they need that, and you're going to meditate with them. So today the YouTubers probably thought, she's keeping her eyes closed the whole entire time. But I was there with you all, even though I was guiding. It was what I needed, right? And doing that daily is the objective, right? And I used to try to do it at least 5 days a week, because sitting down with yourself and reflecting on who you are is most important, and not reflecting on anybody else's. Another thing you said about when your mom made the comment that they're not practicing right, I had to work on that as well. Because when you're taught something, you kind of get into the mindset of this is how it's supposed to go, right? But when you're working with people, right, you have to understand that there is no right way or wrong way. It's what's good for them. Because what I'm going through, Hal just said to me, I've never had issues with anxiety. So he doesn't need to do the type of practice that I may need to do, right? That's not going to really work for Hal, because that's not what Hal's issues is, or what Hal reflects in his mind, right? And the only way that you really know these things, and it can be scary, is by looking at yourself. Because the scary part is looking at yourself and accepting that, oh, I have a mean demeanor. I wasn't really healed from my childhood, so that's when I had that aggression, right? Or I can be a little greedy, or I could be a little, and you have to let that thought pass, just like I'm saying, see what that feels like, because then you know a comparison and a contrast of when you're feeling greedy or when You just want something. You know what I'm saying? Or, oh, I would like to have that versus I want to have that and I need it now. Right? Those are two different vibrations, right? But if you don't ever look at yourself and really allow yourself to feel that thought, sometimes even see it, right? And say, oh, I do have that capability, and then talk to yourself about maybe you want to keep it, maybe you don't, because we do have free will, right? So then you figure out, okay, that's not really how I want to be. Then I'm going to practice more on when I'm practicing, not having that type of spirit or having more of the spirit, because that's what I'm teaching now. Not trying to stop that, but producing or bringing more of the opposite of that into your life. So maybe, and that's what Hal sees. No, you're always giving. You're always giving. There's no way you're greedy, right? But she's probably trying to overweigh that habit that she doesn't like. And the way, if you have that spirit, you give more, right? Yeah, and you're more of a giver.
I think we all need to have opportunities to recharge our batteries.
Definitely.
I think that I would say that that's probably true by
Mm-hmm.
everybody. But the topic about purpose
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
people in my life all have purpose, especially my clients.
We all have.
Uh-huh. Yes.
But if you're sitting in prison for a serious thing, they have nothing but time on their hands. So I'm thankful that I can help them.
Cool. Well, I was telling Dr. Tran last time when we went out, like, I don't know how Hal did it, but he did it. Remember, and I was like, he went to law school at this late in the game, but I also like that because that's a show, and that is actually an example on how never to give up on your dreams, and it's never too late, right? And so I was also telling her how my dream to be a model was 35 years, or to go to New York. I've been modeling, but to get to that's what I changed it. That's why I changed it, right? That's why I changed it. I was like, well, I am a model, but to go to New York. So I went to New York Fashion Week, and I was telling her that was a dream, and it was 35 years long, right? And in that dream, uh, people of influence had, kind of made or planted seeds like, you're too old for that, and why don't you do this, or you still got that dream. But the good thing is I never gave up on my dream. And then I got to see it, and I feel the same way about you being a lawyer. You did other things, and you still was like, nope, I had this dream of being an attorney. And then you went through that work, passed the bar, and studied, and
still studying.
Yeah, right. I'm still studying modeling, believe it or not. I was saying on the runway last week, I got to learn that. There's something new I can learn. Okay, that's how they do that, right? So it's always room for growth, but never giving up, right?
See,
and there's no age.
I didn't know that you were a model.
But tonight, Tiffany organized an event downtown in the library, free for everybody. So anybody watching out there, welcome, right?
Yes.
Tiffany is all free, and Tiffany will be there modeling.
Yes. Cool. So the event is called Meet the Artist, and it's been 37 years in connection with the downtown library. This is the 30th year for the fashion show component, which myself and two other models have coordinated. So it is free to the public. The actual arts event starts at 5. And so there's going to be poetry, there's going to be music, there's going to be arts, friendly for the family, so you can bring the family along.
More fancy socks.
More fancy socks. Definitely lots of fashion, right? And so we had about 8 designers from the Indianapolis, Indiana area. And it's going to be an awesome time. So if you guys are available, we would love to see you there. The fashion show starts at 9 p.m., but the other activities are there from 5 until. The earlier you get there, the better seats you're going to have. Now, I can tell you that.
Who is the designer?
The designers?
Yeah.
So there are 8 of them. And for sake of missing somebody, Mr. Hal, okay, I'm not going to say that because then they're going to get upset. But I can say this. They are 8 unique and different designers with all different things to bring to the runway. And it's going to be one of the best shows that we've had.
So designs for all ages, male and female? Or
yes, okay, male and female. And so we have themes to that. And because this is centered around bringing the African American culture together in art and a platform that we didn't always have, most of the designers are African American, but not all of them. And I say just come out. I don't want to give out too much because then it's like, oh, but if you're available, come out and have a good time and experience the arts with us at the downtown library. Yeah.
Date night.
Well, thank
Date
you.
night, yeah.
Yeah. I said to Tiffany, I've never been to
Yes.
fashion show.
So I
never,
think this would be great
see
for
the
her.
runways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And we're gonna have some Asian inspired designs from around the world,
Okay.
some culture,
Yeah.
African American. So come out. Yeah. I think it'll be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Help
Yep.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, thank
All
you.
right. Well, thank you so much, Tiffany, for this session. I always enjoyed your session. It's very calming, very peaceful. I always learn something, so thank you so much.
Thank you as well for having me and inviting me to be part of this community. I don't take it lightly. And I feel like I always learn something new from you all as well when each time I come. And so thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. All right. So YouTubers, we will see you next time right back here next Saturday. You're going to be in for another treat.